Is this thing on?
This thing's on. Minia, here we go. I see folks joining the room. They're jumping in right now. I see Adam Wilkins, one of my favorites. We have the Anna Maria Pasteur. We have Bill
Oh, yes.
Eaton,
Uh-huh.
Barbara. Hey, folks,
Dennis, I see you.
you can see us. We can't see you. So if you have like a puppy dog barking in the back, kids yelling in the background, don't worry. We just see that your name's here and that you're here. But we do want to know, Wilkins says he's blushing. Where are you joining us from? So go over to the chat window. I see Thea Limberg there, I believe, joining us from Helsinki, Finland, from Föravik Ranta. We have Newport, Rhode Island. We have Helsinki, Toronto, Switzerland,
Switzerland. Wow.
Maine. Get it, guys. Keep going. Slovenia.
Slovenia.
Amazing. Duluth, Minnesota, my
Daria,
hometown.
hey.
Colorado. What's up, Peter Russell from Boston? South Dakota, Utah. Hi, Lauren. We got Suzanne from Asheville. Minia, they're coming in from all over.
They're, they're just pouring in here. That's amazing. It's so interesting and fascinating and wonderful to see how many people gather around the sauna and in the sauna.
I love it. I love it. Hey, Stefan from the Finger Lakes. Hi,
Lake
Dennis
Oswego, right down the
from
street from where I am
Oregon.
right now.
Yeah,
Cool.
Minia, where are you right now? You have a cute sauna behind you and a nice National Sauna Week background. Where are you joining us from today?
Well, I'm normally in the Bay Area, but I am in Portland, Oregon, because of the sauna festival hosted by Sauna Glow this weekend. So it was really fantastic. Mobile saunas and lots of people just enjoying sauna together and dipping in the Willamette River, which was
Oh,
freezing.
I
Yeah,
love it. I love it.
it was
If
awesome.
you are just joining us, like Ashley, who's joining us from Valdez, Alaska, let us know where you are coming from today over in the chat window. This is a digital room where we get to interact. You're not just watching YouTube, unless you're watching the recording after this, but you're here live, everyone. I see Lauren from Erie, PA. Let us know where you're coming in from. I'm joining from Minneapolis, Minnesota today. I am down here. We have a location down in Minneapolis. I'm usually in Duluth, Minnesota, but I'm very Minnesota born and bred. So the north is my home. Hey, Alec from Milwaukee. We got BC, British Columbia repping, Massachusetts. Awesome. So good. Well, we got some folks in here with us, Minea. Should we kick off? We got a lot to cover today. And I think you're going to start us off by welcoming everybody to National Sauna Week.
Oh, we can do that together, Justin. You're so good at it. So, yes, welcome everyone to National Sauna Week. This is Tuesday out of all of the days that we have going on. Lots of sauna stuff happening. And so if you've already joined us for previous sessions, welcome back. And if you are new to this session, welcome. There's so much going on. We have sauna deals and discounts from sauna partners all across the country. You can check that out at nationalsaunaweek.com. We have sauna discounts for actual sauna purchases if you're trying to buy a sauna this week. So check that out on our website as well. Discounts of up to $500. I'll get onto a slide about that soon. And then, of course, we're giving away a trip to the World Sauna Forum in Finland, which is really exciting.
Insane. Insane. You guys, you can win a trip to
Trip to
Finland,
Finland.
free flights, and then you land at one of my favorite weeks of the year, Sauna from Finland's World Sauna Forum. So, have now to confirm, Minia, if you
Mm.
are in the room right now, you are entered to win that. Is that true?
No, unfortunately, you'll have to go to the website and enter manually. Yep.
You guys get over there, go get to the website, enter so that
Goes
you
to
can.
website, says Adam.
Adam
Good.
Wilkins goes to website immediately. So don't sleep on that. Amazing giveaway. Thank you, Finnair. Thank you, Sauna from Finland. What a wild giveaway.
And
I
do
have
join
been,
us.
Minea has
Hmm.
been, it's an amazing event. So you better get there.
And do join us on Saturday for the final session when Justin will help us announce the winner of that giveaway with Bill Gifford. So Uh, briefly, Finlandia Foundation National, we started Sauna Week 5 years ago, and so this is our fifth annual Sauna Week. But we do a lot of other things. We've been supporting Finnish culture across this country, the United States. Sorry, everyone's calling in from other countries. Across the United States since 1953 with grants and scholarships and supporting a network of 60 chapters. So we're proud to be able to bring sauna culture up and bring more people into the sauna. So check out our work at finlandiafoundation.org. I'll skip that slide. That was from the last slideshow about sauna textiles, which was a really good one. So you can catch actually all the recordings will eventually also be on our website. So big thanks to Finnair. They're giving us a round trip ticket to Finland to raffle off. So this is we're just thrilled about that. Sauna from Finland is offering a free ticket to the World Sauna Forum, which is the most relaxing business event in the world.
In the
Justin, have
world.
you been?
I've
Yeah.
been, and it's a delight. It is a bunch of sauna geeks and sauna nerds and aficionados and industry people, and it's in the homeland, the motherland. It is in Finland proper. So if you have a chance, whether you win, you have to be there. Even if you don't win, I highly recommend
Go.
it. I think it's a
Yeah.
tremendous event, and they do a really good job for folks who are kind of in the biz like me and team members, but also for folks who are just curious. And, sauna comes with this tribe of humans who just love everything that's happening there. And so if you want a cool week to go explore deeply the cultural background of sauna in Finland, I give it my thumbs up. I think you should try to get over there.
It is a very hot week. And hydrating is important, as I've learned. So I'll move on here to our silver sponsors. Thank you to Cariti, purveyors of beautiful sauna lighting. They were at the World Sauna Forum last year as well. We have Redwood Outdoors, who sells beautiful saunas. They're based out of Seattle. And Michigan Sauna and Sauna, creating community around their beautiful mobile sauna parked alongside a lake. We also have Birch sponsors. Thank you to all of them. These folks are all giving discounts this sauna week. So if you go to our website again, nationalsaunaweek.com, there's a sauna dealers page and you can find your city and find your discounts. And of course, thank you to our partners, International Sauna Association, North American Sauna Society, Sauna Aid, Cedar and Stone, Justin and team. Thank you so much for setting up this webinar. You guys are hosting, which is relaxing for me because I've been hosting it. And so you guys are running tech for this one. Thank you. And of course, Sauna Glow. And this is our disclaimer. I'll just play it for the sake of it being in the recording. And for our raffle prize at the end, if you stick around, you can win a book. It's coming out soon, isn't it, Justin? It's not quite out yet. It's coming out very soon.
I have a
Um,
sneaky reader's copy of Hotwired. It is so lovely, and I think you all better get one. We're going to raffle one off, and if you don't win today, I implore you, go to Amazon, put it on your wish list, go get it. Um, Bill went through a 2-year journey of studying how heat impacts the human body. And he's a big writer as it comes to lots of longevity research. He's written a bunch of other stuff. Um, Now the focus is on heat, including sauna. And my favorite chapter in here is called The Case Against Cold Plunge. And so if you're interested in some hot or cold takes, you're gonna hear from Bill on that. Great guy, and he and I are talking all things about his book on Saturday. So can't wait to have you there.
yeah, so do join us for that final session of National Sauna Week on Saturday with Justin and Bill Gifford. So with that, let's get started. I'll introduce Justin. If you haven't met him already, Justin is equal parts modern designer, sauna snob, which I totally resonate with, and business owner. He has nearly 4 decades of practicing and building saunas. Justin is the founder and CEO of Cedar and Stone Nordic Sauna, a leader in the sauna industry. His team designs, builds, and creates beautiful thermic bathing experiences throughout North America. Over the next decade, Justin, it's your mission to host 1 million people in the sauna so that we can build more resilient lives. 1 million people, huh? Where are we at? Where are we at today? Are you
Well,
taking
we
tally?
we kind of do, and we design and build for folks all over the country, and we host people at 2 different locations, one in Duluth, Minnesota, one in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so we tally all those. We have a guesstimate, right? If it's in the backyard, you're going to host a handful of people. We have the receipts for when people book with us, and we build for folks for their commercial saunas and their sauna businesses, which we'll talk about more here. And we have built a couple big ones. This last week, I was in New York City in what I believe is the US's largest public sauna. It holds about 100 people in it. It is insanely big. It's in Brooklyn, New York. If you go visit our friends at Othership. I'm long way of getting around is we are in the hundreds of thousands right now of people who have entered into a Cedar and Stone sauna. And we're chipping away at that million mark because North America right now is discovering sauna for the first time at high quality. And that's what we're in today. We're talking all about that idea around designing for quality and resilience. So, Minea, what an honor to get to be here with you and to be on another year's worth of National Sauna Week events. Huge kudos to your team. I think we're like event six and it's only day two or three.
Oh,
So you guys
goodness.
are just churning through events. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope I do it justice this year for our talk today.
Thanks, Justin. I will go off camera and I'll leave it to you in your good hands.
Thank you. All right, you guys, here we are. I'm going to carry it for a little while. Minea's going to come back. Welcome. If you're just joining us, let us know where you're coming from. Uh, as we go, I do want to say this. We're in an interactive space today. So, yes, you're watching along, and I am in a digital space far away from you. However, I want to hear from you, and I'm not going to save a bunch of time for Q&A at the end. We're going to answer some things along the way. So Richard, I see Richard there from Chicago. What's up, Richard? He's letting me know where you're at. Uh, Asaka from Denver, Colorado. Amazing. Now I need you to do me a favor too. Tom is going to hit the button for the poll, and we're going to send you out a question. And this question is, who are you and how'd you get here, basically? In what ways are you interested in the business of sauna? Maybe you're somebody who's that enthusiast. You just love it. This is like your pastime. Maybe you're somebody who is on the journey to starting something. You're like, I think this could happen in my community. I'm going to launch something. Or maybe you are somebody that is ready to, the doors are open. You're launching your sauna business right now. Welcome. So glad you're here. The votes are coming in. Amazing. People are filling it out. It's a pretty good spread right now. So as I'm watching it right now, here's what I'm seeing live is we got almost 40% of the people in the room who are those enthusiasts. Amazing. Enthusiasts. We're so excited you're here. Folks who are thinking about it, this is amazing. Almost 50% of our room is people who are on the journey. I might start a business someday in this realm. I love it. That's amazing. And then we got 16% of our folks today who are here who are in the trenches like me. You're in the biz. The doors are open. You're building, launching, providing sauna to people in all the ways. I love it. So good. So good to see. Now, today, what we're going to do is unpack not just the details there. We're going to go a level deeper. We're gonna dive in and focus on how we build resilience. We're gonna focus in on how we design and what are some of those key principles for our sauna experiences that impact people significantly. They really do a lot more than the latest wellness hack, right? You guys have probably all seen that on Instagram. You've probably all seen those moments where people are trying to get healthier. But we are going to ask a deeper question today as we go through the webinar. And we are going to ask the questions that are how do we truly build resilience? And what are the ways in which we can do that as leaders, as business owners, as industry people, as neighbors? I invite our homeowners and our sauna neighborhood friends to also be thinking about this. How do you invite the neighborhood over? And how do you build resilience in the neighborhood around this? So that's where we're headed today. And as we go, I invite you to ask questions. You can ask those in the Q&A window. That's probably the best place because there is so much action in the chat right now. I don't want to lose any of those questions. So there's a little button there that says Q&A. If you have a question on any of these things, how do we build resilience? What do you mean by ventilation? Tell me more about what wood to use on the walls of the thing and that thing. Those are some questions. If you have any of those along the way, hit the Q&A window. Tom will see it, I'll see it, and we're going to go in and we'll filter those through every 10 minutes or so. I might hit one of those as we go along the way. So today, designing resilience, the principles for sauna experiences that change lives. And as we get into it, I do want to say this. I want to start with a framework. I want to start by thinking not about what are my tips and tricks, not just what's the five common denominators for building saunas that do this. I want to zoom out, and I'm zooming out through the lens of a dear friend and sort of colleague of mine named Mikkel Alland. Now, some of you might know Mikkel's name. Mikkel, 50 plus years ago, wrote a book called Sweat, and it was in the 70s, and he went around the world researching the world's best and most enduring sweat bathing traditions, from the Turkish hammam, the Russian banya, the Korean jjinjingbao, the Native American sweat lodge, the Central American temescal, the Swedish bastu, and of course the Finnish sauna. And what he began to see as he unpacked all those traditions was A, that humans have done this forever. That this is a core ingredient to being human is to bathe and to use hot and cold for our health. And like good food, we all just have a bunch of different recipes that some are a little spicier, some are a little uh, harder to make, some are for the whole family to enjoy at once, and some are for a select few at once. And Mikkel has now, over those last 50 years, been watching the industry, been encouraging the industry, been encouraging the chance to sort of see these things take root. And I spent some time with him last week in New York City. There was a larger event called the Culture of Bathing Gathering, and he again went back and said, there are three core things that make these bathing traditions enduring and impactful. And we're going to use those three things as our lenses today to look through design principles for impactful sauna. Those three things are the physical, the social, and the spiritual. All good experiences like this do enact our bodily health. They are an effort towards making us healthy, well, clean, right? Where never have you felt more clean than after the sauna. I'm sure many of you have felt that. So they are helping our body to tolerate stress, adapt, and recovery. Now, we're seeing that a lot in the world right now, this sort of language of the health benefits of sauna. And that is great. We're going to dive into that a little bit. We're going to unpack what that means, but it's not the only thing. There's also the social benefits, the ability for things to be this connective tissue, the kind of conversations you have in the sauna that feel so deep and meaningful. All good sweat bathing traditions have that as an ingredient. And in North America, we sort of are hearing a lot about, I think, moving from physical to social, the sauna as the nightclub. Uh, and dare we go even as far as the greatest ones, the most enduring, the most impactful are those spiritual, transcendent, and divine moments that come when you engage with sauna. Now, some of you have maybe experienced that at a public gathering space, a large sauna or bathhouse or public sauna somewhere around the world. You've maybe experienced that right at home or with your family, in the neighborhood sauna, in the backyard sauna, at the cabin, that the spot that you would all go gather at. I have experienced it there. The spiritual moments alone and silent and contemplative and connecting to something bigger than myself. So today we're going to look through those three lenses, the physical, the social, and the spiritual, because that's what really unlocks something broader in terms of sauna's impact on humans. Our impact on humans is not just our biological and metabolic health. That also, guys, we have the data now that proves that. The sauna does more than just be a good social connection spot, the new bar. And it does more, because it includes those other things, than just being a contemplative meditative act. Today, we're going to look at all three, and I'm going to give you some of my observations as somebody who builds and designs these spaces all over the country and for businesses and homeowners all over the country of what are the ingredients that lead to transformation? What are the goals when you design something to get to the impact that includes physical, social, and spiritual? Does that sound good? Are you with me? I can't hear you right now, but I know you're with me. I see you over there. Kara's saying yes with an exclamation point. So if you're with me, hit that in the chat. Thanks, Zane. Preach, brother, says Adam. And if you have any questions as we go, hit me up in the Q&A window. All right. So let's go. Number one, physical resilience. Uh, we are designing for the human body. And so great design acknowledges actual humans being in them. Bad design is something that looks good or something that's easy to build. And those things don't include how people use them well. It's why architects begin the process with a word called, they often say, what's the program? How do the humans flow in the space? What do they do when they're in there? And sorry if there's any architects in the room with us today. Sometimes architects get sauna wrong. The most common tell is really high ceilings and low benches and beautiful austere lines. And I know immediately when they design it that way, I say, that architect's never been in a sauna. Let's help them understand how that space is used. I bring this up to begin because as we start beginning to think about resilience, the design of the space matters for the actual humans that are in there. We know that this physical resilience starts with our bodies, our actual lived experience in flesh and blood and bone. Sauna exposes us to this controlled stress. Now, if you're like me and you've grown up in spaces like this, perhaps even the fact that you don't remember your first time in the sauna. I know you're in the room, folks with last names like mine with too many vowels from Finland, that this is something we've grown up with. We might miss this one. It's really common for us to sort of not realize how good it is for us, or even the sort of physiological stressors to it because we're so used to it. Now, if you're somebody who's new to sauna, it might feel discomforting at the beginning. You might sort of say, ooh, I've never been in a room that is 160, 180, 200 degrees. And so you're going to hear about sauna as this challenge. You're going to see it as this piece of workout equipment in the gym. And most Americans, I'm speaking to our National Sauna Week American audience here for a minute, they only know sauna through this lens. It's the new piece of workout equipment. And they go take they do their workout and they take a sauna for 10 minutes in their full gym clothes, sometimes listening to their podcasts, and they sweat for 10 minutes and then they leave. They do the hard part of helping their body adjust to the heat. And then they leave and say, good, I did my recovery dose today. They think about it in terms of protocols and degrees and pushing or challenging themselves. These are the folks who you're going to see doing workouts in the sauna, maybe bringing their exercise bike in the sauna, or perhaps even sort of entering through the door of infrared cabin, dare I say, sauna, because some of us know that infrared is not sort of fully the quality sauna that Finnish sauna is. Carolina is saying, yes, it's unsettling. Uh, and so you all know these people. Now, here's the thing, everybody. Before we get too worried about them, we want to invite them into more. This is their entry point in. They've never known it. This is exactly how people are entering in. And all they know is the fact that there's something good in that warm room for them. And if they go in there, they're going to somehow find it. But what they don't have is they don't have mental furniture or framework for etiquette, for culture, for tradition, or for even deeper, the process and ritual of sauna. And I will sort of briefly say that process is hot, cold, rest, rehydrate, and repeat. Sauna to me includes that cycle 3, 4, or 5 times. So if you're just doing your workout in 10 minutes in the heat, you've actually missed all the other good parts. And all the big data and research is really designed around people doing high quality actual sauna experiences. And so folks come in wanting the physical benefits, of which there are many. We know that sauna is a cardiovascular workout. We know that sauna is going to help with our vasodilation and constriction. It's going to help our blood vessels open up and close, keeping them supple, keeping them healthy over long periods of time. Uh, Especially why it helps with cardiovascular events, getting a heart attack, having disease, cardiovascular disease, things like that, and even so far as lowered risks of dementia later in life. Additionally, all these things are supported by the fact that sauna is quite easy to enter into, especially later in life, when it is harder to go out for the run or do the workout or get on the bicycle. The sauna is asked from you is only will you enter the space and sit on the benches together. And so we begin to be thinking about these values that people are seeking. They want longevity, they want the human benefit in their physical body. And us sauna people and us folks who are loving it, we get to champion that and say, absolutely, you're going to get that. And yet, what I've known my whole life is that grandma and grandpa have told me the sauna is good for me. So we get to say now the science is finally catching up to the cultural wisdom, the deeper wisdom behind that this is good for our bodies, our minds, and our souls. Now, how do we get to good physical resilience? If I come back to what my designer had on, my suggestion here is we need to think differently than the Joe Rogans of the world, than the American athletes of the world, than the competitors of the world, who think about sauna only as a challenge activity because they think about it as this experience of pushing oneself, of strain and no pain, no gain, and this focus on pushing into these zones of stress. Now, most people's experience of sauna, if it is only that, they say, wow, that was hard, but I'm never going to do that again. It's not, it's sort of this like, here's a torture chamber, have fun. Good luck if you make it out. Now, in my experience of sauna, my whole life, sauna has been more enjoyed than endured. And so as we think about design, I think a lot about how do we create an experience where the actual qualitative heat in the space, the feeling of the space is not one of sharpness, but of smoothness. The heat is not a push to challenge, but rather a supportive envelope to enter. Now, there are some ways that we can do that. Sauna design geeks in the room with me. I see you there. We care about that through things like thermal mass of materials, more rock and stone mass around your heater, your stove, or your kiawas if you are Finnish. Thinking through the wood in and around the walls, the densities and the mass of wood. We build with mass timber and CLT, and we are sort of mimicking in our designs the old log sauna because the old log sauna, to all the aficionados, that's the best, especially if it's a smoke sauna. Now, in the US, we can't quite do smoke sauna very often due to the fact that there's a lot of insurance claims and litigiousness to that. However, we can mimic some of the feelings of that smooth, robust, warm, enveloping heat. Go there, thermal mass. Uh, Room volume and ceiling heights. We also want to get people up into the warmth, up into the fact, oh, hold on, guys, Nils in here. Nils is the US's foremost expert in my eyes around log sauna. He says amen to the log approach. Nils from Vermont, you guys go check him out. Uh, Room volume and ceiling height. We want to get people up into the heat. So room volume of what is actually there and how do we create a space that you're heating enough? You're pouring enough heat into the room, but you are not pouring too much heat into the room. You're not trying to roast people or blister their skin on their left side right by the heater over there. You're trying to create a more even enveloping space. In addition to that, you want bench placement that's ergonomic and thoughtful, that allows people to navigate the space safely. We don't want people slipping and falling as they're in and around the sauna, and comfortably. You want people to be up in there again, back to the fact that this is not a water importing torture chamber. And lastly, I'll say quickly around this is really around ventilation. And I bring this one up last because I want to unpack a piece of it. This is the one that so often the American design community gets wrong. It is this moment where people think that you need to heat up the room and you need to tighten it up because a lot of houses we think about that way. The passive house movement or continuously heated structures in the home. You want to tighten everything up and manage your ventilation. In sauna, it's different. In sauna, we often only heat it up for a little while and then we warm it and enjoy it, and then we want it to cool down. So our value in your walls is less important. But what is deeply as important is the fact that you're going to put a lot of people in that room to breathe. And if we heat that up and we pull and sort of like wrap that up, what we often miss is good fresh air. And I bring this up because there are so many people that I talk to. They say, I'm just not a sauna person. When I go in, I feel drowsy, maybe a little woozy or dizzy. Some days I feel like the next day I have a little bit of a headache or a hangover. And those are not sauna symptoms, everybody. Those are symptoms of oxygen deprivation. That's exactly what is left. We are not inviting people into a box to not breathe. In fact, we're doing the opposite. We're asking them to come into this space to breathe deeply, to be present, to be connected with humans. And the more humans you have in the space, the more oxygen is needed. And so that trifecta, as Glenn Auerbach might say, is great heat, good ventilation, and proper steam. And so the goal here, as we think about design in those spaces of physical benefits, we are designing all the key areas of the sauna to create this appropriate level of physical resilience that is one that is not the challenge first, but is the support first. And I say that because this is so new and so many people are beginning to enact or engage with sauna all over the US because they're hearing about it because of the scientific health benefits. And we ought to champion them on. We ought to say, welcome in. Now it's time to learn and go deeper. You've only heard that this is good for your physical body. Guess what? It's also going to be deeply impactful for your relationships, your life, and your spiritual life. More to come on that, you guys. I'm going to come back. Jan is asking a question here. He's saying, I've had some pretty wild banya sessions involving lots of beer and vodka. My body feels surprisingly good after, even if it's not proper wellness. Do you think the mental social benefits outweigh the lack of health in these traditional settings? Oh, Jan, that's a great question. As somebody who has been in a sauna or two where alcohol has been present, and I say that, there's two things going on here. One is in private sauna, I think we should be a little more relaxed around those things. In public sauna, especially in public sauna that is new people entering in, we should be very careful. And I say this to begin with because sauna is a cardiovascular workout. It gets our bodies working, it gets things moving. And what it will force your body to do is metabolize that alcohol much more quickly. So one beer might turn into three beers as it comes to your body's feeling. And the heat and the amount of sweating that you do is a very real amount of dehydration that's also happening into your body. So when you're in cultural settings where this is normal, I would say two things are also often normal. People's use of alcohol is pretty common and normal. People have a tolerance to it. And people's use of sauna is also normal and people have a tolerance to it. If you were coming into sauna and you say, how long should I be in here? At what temperature? I'm going to need to ask you first, have you ever done sauna before? Because if not, it's a little like saying, hey, how long should I run my first race for? You can say, well, I kind of don't know. Are you a marathon runner? Have you never ran before? A 5K is a arbitrary number for a race, depending on your level of skill. And so, Jan, back to your sort of thoughts here, you feel good afterwards. And I would argue because there's a lot more benefits here to those sort of social emotional benefits, as well as it is helping your body process some of those things. So, if you're hydrating right, I think you're probably going to be feeling less of an effect from beer and vodka than you would if you just did that the night before. And so that your body is going to metabolize that more. You're going to, sweat out some of that. You're going to mostly your liver is going to work a little overtime while you're in there, and you're going to work those things through. Um, I think there is a place for it, but in new areas, in new spots where folks are discovering sauna for the first time, my general practice is to say, enjoy the sauna without the alcohol first, and then after, if you want to have a sip, totally have a sip, but make sure you're hydrated first. I hope that's helpful, Jan. I think you're right that there are cultural precedent towards this, and we need to be careful of who our audience is. Great question. If there are other ones coming in, please send them along. We'll answer them as we go. Let's go to our next area of resilience that we're trying to build. We're trying to build social resilience. I think the sauna is community infrastructure. We see this kind of all over, especially in Europe, especially in places where these traditions are kind of institutions in culture. Let me tell you a story. Last week on Friday, I went to Minnesota's oldest public sauna. It's been continuously running for over 100 years. In 1915, it started, and here we are in 2026. And the Ely steam bath has been serving humans with an unassuming, historic, accessible, and affordable sauna experience for a full century. Since the immigrants who came across the boat and landed in that part of the world, and they brought good sauna with them. I bring it up as a core focus because this place is so beautiful, but it's also not a polished modern spa. It's full of history and nostalgia and truly a lived experience of caring for the people in that community. And when I was there on Friday, we were filming for a documentary coming soon on Sauna Channel later this spring. We're going to tell the story of saunas all throughout Minnesota. While we were there, we got to interview a man named Jerry Niskanen. If you met him, he would say Niski to my friends. Jerry has been going to that sauna for 50 plus years. He had stories of listening to the elders recount what it was like to go to war. He had stories of watching his children and now his grandchildren grow up and attend and be a participant as somebody in the community there. He, Jerry and spaces like this at the Ely Steam Bath are proof that sauna is social infrastructure. It's this space of connection that is more deep and more impactful just than the restaurant, the coffee shop, or the bar. It's these places that invite us to connect deeper. And what I love about the fact that across the Midwest, there are places like this that they persist is because I think they hit to Mickle's deeper value. They hit this social cohesion. They hit this connection deeply to the impact that sauna can have on a community. Now it's very affordable. It's very unassuming. It's a little dingy. Those walls are full, right? They are patinaed as you might expect. And I'm gonna critique some of our wellness bros who enter sauna. It was not that hot. It was not that hot in one sense. And that sense would be the degrees of Fahrenheit on the wall or Celsius, depending on which side of the dial you looked. But the design of the space was very communal, and the old radiator steam heat that was provided had a lever on the wall that you could add steam to. And Jerry, being the aficionado and the grandfather, the elder of the room, well, he took the spot by the steam handle, and he was the one to add the steam. And the fact that that room only was at a lower temperature, 120 to 130, maybe 140 at points, but it felt so robust because the steam was billowing and so full in that room. I invite you guys to sort of who are entering in and thinking 200 is the number you have to be at for sauna all the time. I would start to play with your levels of humidity while you're in the sauna. I would start to play with your levels of nostalgia and social connection when you're in there because sure it is good to sort of hit that protocol and get to a high temp, and there are moments where you want high temp sauna. And I don't think that always equals perfect and great sauna. So there are examples of this that are old, like the Ely steam sauna. Now there are also examples of this that are brand spanking new that are popping up all over the country. I see our folks from Sauna Glow who are here and our sponsors. I look at our spaces here in Minneapolis or in Duluth that are public expressions that invite the community in. I think about spaces that we've designed and built for, whether that's Seattle Sauna on the floating sauna on the harbor there, or Other Ship in Brooklyn, New York, the 100+ person sauna that exists in Brooklyn, New York. Now, all of those are spaces for folks to enter in. They're spaces for folks to meet new friends. They're spaces for folks to get connected inside the sauna. And the sauna does the heavy lifting. It breaks down these barriers. And I think many of us know this, but there is cultural precedent here through Finnish sauna diplomacy, and through the examples of that old Finnish proverb, which says, all people are created equal, but nowhere more so than in the sauna. And I think that is a beautiful example of the fact that we need spaces like this in our social infrastructure to build connection and to link arms with the sort of difficulty that can come. Now, what we haven't talked about quite yet is the fact that why am I talking about building resilience? And I say that today sitting from Minneapolis. And I don't want to get too political, but I want to get honest here. I think the world is very hard to be in. And I know that today because for the last 2 months in Minneapolis, it's been really hard to be a Minnesotan in the face of a lot of difficulty. And I believe that Finland has known this for millennia because Finland is a small country sitting amidst superpowers. They share a multi-thousand kilometer border with Russia, and they share to the west a connection to now ally, but a border with Sweden, both of which, who over time have occupied that small country of Finland. And out of that sort of crucible moment, what we know about Finland is that one of the highest virtues to be a Finn is to have not American independence. That is what we want here. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Be that kind of human and American. In Finland, the cultural virtue to be grown and developed is, say it with me now, you probably know it in the chat, some of you, sisu. Sisu, directly translated, it's guts. Or perhaps it connotes determination, persistence, grit. But it's not just that. It's not just I keep doing the thing. It's I do the thing in the face of adversity. It's I run the race with wind at my face. Maybe most poetically, it's the ability to make it through a long winter and to never give up when others quit, says Jessica Nemi in the chat. We are in the sauna industry right now and in this movement that is growing. I think the thing that is missed when we begin to talk about health benefits, or perhaps when we begin to talk about social cohesion and benefits, is that it is not those things in a vacuum. Cardiovascular disease does kill people. Dementia does kill people. Our societies are fraying at the seams. In the US, the Surgeon General provided a study that there is a loneliness epidemic happening. And we are now in the age of anxiety where we are over digitized, deeply connected, but not known with belonging. And my suggestion and my call and my encouragement to those who are in the room today is sauna unlocks this ability to persist, to carry on, to have and build and grow resilience and sisu in a way that actually does heal our communities, our bodies, and our souls and minds. And so our goal here is much deeper. It's much more missional than it is spa and opulence and culture. It's survival. The great Finnish president Urho Kekkonen once said, life without sauna to me seems impossible. Kekkonen was honest. He knew that life was hard. He knew that the focus of that should be carrying on through the difficulty. And so I think as we go here, I want to encourage you that this is building a resilience in humans and communities that is so important and so deep. Now, let's transition to our third pillar, that is the spiritual impact, our spiritual resilience, our ability to train the mind to stay in that. And this is the stuff that's subtle. This is the stuff that you really only get and listen to when you've been in the sauna long enough. I'm going to tell you one little story. There was a time where I was in Sweden, and Sweden is not known like Finland for their sauna culture, but I will say it is there. and I was in Malmo, which is just across the bridge from Copenhagen, Denmark. And on that side of Sweden, the kind of western coast, it is rocky and briny, and the sea is harsh, and the coastline is not nice beaches. And so what they did was they built their saunas and bathhouses out in the water and stilted them and built long boardwalks to get out to them. It's a brilliant idea. It's a massive engineering challenge, but it's a brilliant idea. And I was traveling with my family, and I had the opportunity to have the kids at home taking a nap, and I got to go out and find the Ribersborg called Badhouse, the cold bathhouse, the chance to go jump in the sea. And there are saunas and showers and lounge spaces and swimming out in the water there. And I was excited. I was like, I'm gonna go find it. This is one of those old historic ones that's been there for 100 plus years. And there I am, I'm walking on the boardwalk out to it. And I meet this local guy who he goes there regularly. We're walking along and he realizes I don't have a Swedish accent and he's getting to know each other along the day. He says, "Oh my goodness, welcome to Malmo. I'm so excited that you're here. You are about to experience the religion of Malmo, Sweden." And that sentence stopped me in my tracks and it's been stuck in my mind ever since. You are here about to experience the religion of Malmo, Sweden. This small bathhouse on the water is the place people come back to weekly to be reminded what is it to be human, to be reminded what is it to connect to something bigger than themselves, to be reminded and sort of consoled in their hardest and deepest moments. And if we are only thinking about the health benefits and our mitochondrial data, we're going to miss this one. This is the one where sauna culture deeply is an embodied act to connect us to nature, community, and the deeper truths of human life. These are the moments where we actually connect in a beautiful and brilliant and deep way to there's something more happening to us and around us. That's both an inward journey and an outdoor journey. I think there's these experiences of sauna, some of the ingredients that impact me a lot are the connection to nature. Those are spiritual moments where we transcend to the divine by seeing beautiful nature, beautiful water, great forests. I think Finnish sauna culture is one of the best in the world at this because they are so often built next to beautiful bodies of water or in the forest or connected to nature. It's very in the water there. Now, in other places, I think it's a connection deeply to the fact of stillness and processing one's life and difficulties and emotions. And that can be done both in solitude as well as it can be done with others. In our spaces where we host tens of thousands of people for sauna every year, it wrecks me so often that there is the reality that there are days where we are hosting the excited, gregarious bachelor and bachelorette parties. They're the ones there to have fun. And right next to them, we're hosting the intimate moment and excitement around I'm celebrating an anniversary from just two. And also at the same time in the private sauna just next door, we're hosting people who have booked the space to process the grief and loss of a loved one, a parent or a child. And all of those emotions are happening all at once in saunas where people are looking for comfort and connection. Saunas has this ability to give us a space to process what is our purpose, who are my people, and what are the deep truths about the pain in the world that I need to get through. And those spiritual acts, when combined with the social and the physical, I think really do create these amazing expressions that truly transform people. They transform communities. They build resilience. They transform people's individual health in their own bodies. And they do point to something deeper. They invite you to express and connect with the divine. And It's uncommon to hear that in today's sauna culture world of Instagrams and excitement and flash and pizzazz. But I think many of us have known that, or they can feel that, that this is what happens when we're there. So my encouragement to you is, especially if you're thinking about design or perhaps building, it is our builders and designers' responsibility to include all three of these pillars. None of these things happen by accident. We need this profound responsibility to create these human spaces, not just structures, but every decision matters. The materials, the thermal stability with it, the bench layout to create the type of experience. Are you creating awe and pointing people out a window? Are you creating the conversation around the heat and the bonfire that is the sauna? Are you creating ventilation that produces warmth and oxygen and calm and endurance for folks rather than starving of those things, leaving them with the hangover afterwards? And so we are stewards. We're builders of this tradition, and our work is designed to leave people inspired, resilient, and connected, as opposed to frustrated, fatigued, and disconnected. And when I look at the future of sauna in North America, it looks rather bright to me. I think we have a chance to be making impact in the world that is significant. I think we have a chance to impact this culture here in ways that has never fully embraced bathing culture or sauna culture. And we're beginning to see it. Now, we also need to hold it carefully because the US is really good at the McDonald'sification of things. It's really good at taking cultural gifts and ripping out the good stuff and creating a facsimile of it, the cheap and easy and convenient version of it. And so if you enter a sauna that's infrared, you're sort of doing the thing that's less. If you're going for the dose of the single cabin that's not communal, you know what? You've probably removed some key elements there. If you're going into it for just the health benefits in the back of the gym, you've been removed from what it could or would be. So today I feel like I'm encouraging and potentially preaching a manifesto here for what sauna should, could, and maybe is becoming here in North America. And I think we have a chance as stewards of that tradition to carry it on. And events like this at the National Sauna Week are great examples to be stewarding those traditions well, to be carrying them on well. I believe that the entrepreneurs who are hosting and inviting new folks all over the country, they are stewarding this tradition and moving it on well. And to those folks that have just a great backyard and a little sauna in the back and they invite their neighbors or over, please keep doing that. Keep building more deeply connected neighborhoods. Be building relationships with your neighbors to know that they are humans just alongside you and they are probably carrying with them some type of depth and heaviness that day. So, as we land the plane here and we get to the end of it, I do want to say the future of sauna culture is not accidental, it's intentional. The goal here is to be together as we thrive in all of this. And I think we got a shot to do that, don't you? So I'm going to answer a couple questions. We got a couple that have been dropped in here. Minea is going to come back. We're going to give away Bill's book, and we're going to do some fun in our final couple minutes. Minea, any like kind of momentary reflections, just right off the bat as we go to some of these questions, as you heard me sort of riffing on the physical, the social, and the spiritual benefits of sauna, what comes to mind for you?
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling so inspired. Thank you, Justin. That was wonderful. I've gone right in my mind to one of my best sauna moments, if I can share it. And I feel inspired to share it first in Finnish because it happened in Finland, and then I'll translate if that's okay.
Please.
Mä olin Suomessa saunamassa mökillä, mökkisaunassa, ja mä olin siellä mun kummitytön kanssa. Se oli 10-vuotias. Ja sitten kun kaikki lähti saunasta pois, ja se oli vaan me kaksi, me aloitettiin pesemään toisiamme. Me otettiin meidän vaatteet pois ja sitten mentiin heti tuonne järvelle. So this moment was in a sauna on a lake in Finland, and I was with my 10-year-old goddaughter. And after everyone left from the sauna, uh, we were able to have a have a real sauna experience. All the people are gone. It was like just the two of us. I was like, all right, kiddo. We took off our skivvies. We got into the nude, and I was like, we're gonna wash. We're gonna do a wash now. So we got the scrubber and the soap, and I washed her back, and she washed my back, and then we ran and jumped into the lake. And I feel like that is not an experience that you see a lot in North America. This having kids in there and washing and bathing, and nudity, of course, but how healthy it is for this kid to have this experience with an older woman and like in a healthy, normal way, just using the sauna together. And it was like, I was like, this is a peak moment in my life. And truly, 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 sauna is such a space of magic, and it really does that for people. So I'd be curious too, Justin, to hear if you've had any. I mean, I'm sure you've had transformative moments in the sauna.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's thank you for sharing beautifully and in dual languages. I I have as well, and I think there's a couple that tie to some questions in here because I think this is a really important area of thinking. And one is Vivian's asking about sort of how do we invite youth into sauna culture? So many places deny their entry. How does that impact the US to build saunas that reduce risk and limit liability, blah, 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 right? And how do you design around that? Vivian, great question. I would say number one is it's more of an operational choice as the business than it is a design challenge or a liability challenge or risk. We from the jump at Cedar and Stone have always invited families and kids of all ages to be a part of it. And have we had to make decisions around how that works? Yes, absolutely. Physiologically, like little kids' sweat glands aren't developed yet. Okay. So like they get rosy cheeked and they go in and out of the sauna a lot. Many of us know this who have sort of grown up around it. But if, like Rachel, who's also on here, and I'll get to your question in a minute, Rachel, haven't seen kids in the sauna, you might think by a doctor's note that this is going to be very unsafe. But in cultures around the world, I don't have a first memory of sauna because I was so little. I was a little baby. The first memory I have is building my first sauna with my dad when I was 3 years old. So not only was I early on in entering the sauna, I was early on in starting to build them. I think this is a choice as a business owner to say, how do we make space for families? How do we make space for kids? Not, um, am I going to be allowed? I think you can say that today in the US. You can say all families are welcome. Here's how we do that, and here's how we help them in the space. I think it would be common to have guardians with them. I think it would also be common to, for sake of people's experience, maybe encourage certain times of the week or month that are geared in towards families. That would be another way to do that because some folks are coming without the ability to know that, oh, wow, I'm going to be here with a bunch of kids. I was sort of looking for a little more of a peaceful experience. And so if you sort of create program times to say, yep, it's family day. We invite you to bring all the kids, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be fine, and we're going to put extra life vests on if there's water. Do that. Do that. And then around US liability insurance, anything's possible. Adam Wilkins is on this call. Adam's one of our insurance guys. Talk to him about it. Among others, I think there's an event tomorrow around sauna insurance, or maybe
It was yesterday, but
it
the
was
recording
yesterday.
will
So
be
the
out.
recording will happen. Um, but you do have to, as a business owner, say, here are the ways that we are limiting risk. And here's how we limit risk with floating sauna projects in Duluth, where we invite people to jump off the top. Here's ways we invite people to do that, to have kids in their space. So I really encourage you to do it, Vivian. Great question. And there's a couple other ones that are coming through here, Minea, if we have a moment, and then we're going to do the giveaway. Rachel's asking a good one. She says, for us who don't grow up with sauna culture or came to it later in life, who don't have linguistic experience like you, Minea, or last names like mine, how do we guide in becoming respectful, thoughtful stewards of the traditions for others? Um, yeah, I mean, what you're asking there, Rachel, is how do you not culturally appropriate something for monetary benefit, if said really, really frankly? And I think that's a beautiful question to ask. The fact that you're asking it is already on a sign to me that it's likely that you won't do it. The way that you do it is you learn, you honor, you respect, and you show where these things come from and where they originate from. Not you innovate on them without knowing them truly. You might want to go to the World Sauna Forum. You might want to go to Finland and experience it in its homeland. You might want to read a lot about it, especially if you're opening a business for this. For those commercial folks in our room, these are the ways that you take a tradition is you learn about it and you honor it. Just like food. You have that great meal from some other culture, and if you want to learn how to cook it, you got to know those ingredients. And you got to learn what are the ways in which we do that, or else we're just having Taco Bell and Tex-Mex, right? Which we know is not good Central American food, perhaps. So go learn how are those things done at the core and go respect them. And then by all means, go make the good food for people. Go heat the sauna for people and invite more folks in. That's my gentle charge for you, Rachel. And I think I wouldn't be so worried about some of our cultural preservationists in the room who expect you to say sauna like the Finnish people. I think it's more important to invite people into great sauna before they ever get their pronunciation right. Uh, Hot take, I realize, coming from the land of the far north where people like to say the words like they are said in Finland. Mineo, where should we go next as we land the plane? I think we got a giveaway and we got to invite people to other things.
Yes, I think we'll wrap up, but ultimately I'm seeing that all of us who are here are doing the work of educating people, and it's important because it's still new to North America, sauna. So it's important that we have these gatherings and we learn about where it comes from and how to share it. So thank you all for doing that work in the ways that you are doing it.